My wife used to enjoy our open marriage until I started enjoying it too.
Nobody wins here.
My wife, 50 female, and I, 51 male, have been together for a little over 25 years. We don't have kids together, but we both have grown children from previous relationships. The youngest, her daughter, moved out 10 years ago. After a period of empty nest syndrome, we decided to be more adventurous in our spicy sleep life. By the way, this comes from Oops. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. This led about 8 years ago to us deciding to enter in an open marriage. I enjoy hearing about and seeing her with other guys, so this worked for me. Despite not being overly interested in sleeping with others myself, I've had a few one-night stands over the years with her knowledge, and that's never caused a problem. My wife, on the other hand, has had anything from friends with benefits to full-on boyfriends over the last 8 years. Wow. She's even had serious feelings for a few people. None of that has ever hurt us. If anything, I think we're stronger now than we were a decade ago. A year and a half ago, I met a woman, 45 female, in line at a grocery store. She was very attractive, recently divorced, and seemed interested in me. I decided to pursue it, first with drinks, then later with proper dates. My wife was aware of what was happening at every stage. She thought it was cute and never hinted that it bothered her. The other woman, Jane, knows that I'm married and is okay with it, though she's held me at arm's length for most of our time together. Recently, however, we've gotten much closer. A few months ago, we had our first sleepover. I went to her place. It wasn't all spicy sleep either. We really got to know each other. Felt more like a real relationship. And since then, things have progressed to the point that I split my time between my wife and Jane fairly equally. My wife has done this many times in the past, and it's never been an issue with either of us. 2 weeks ago, we had a massive fight about Jane. Apparently, she feels very threatened by my new relationship with her. She feels that I'm replacing her and that nothing she's done is equivalent. Nothing was really solved. Everything blew over the next day, but it still lingers in the air between us. Every time I get a text from Jane, my wife scowls or leaves the room abruptly. I don't even bother mentioning her anymore. I love my wife and I love my marriage, but I care deeply for Jane. I don't want to give her up. I feel like my wife is being selfish here. I don't have many friends who I can talk to about this, so any advice would be much appreciated. There is a quick edit. My wife has had even closer relationships with other men over the years. One even lived with us for a short while. Oh wow. I felt like she was going to leave me, and when we discussed those feelings, she understood and reassured me that I was her primary. I did the same thing when she came to me with her concerns, and suddenly I'm cheating and about to ruin our marriage. Nothing either of us has done goes against the rules that we established and reestablished frequently. Edit number 2, I'm going to talk to her tonight. I won't bring up the fairness aspect to this, as many of you pointed out that there is no such thing as fair in an argument like this. I think I'll try to focus on what she feels threatened about. I love my wife and marriage and wouldn't choose anyone over her. I'm starting to understand that that's probably where her insecurity lies. She needs to understand how I feel about her and how my feelings for Jane don't affect our marriage. There are some comments, but I want to hear your comments. What do you think so far?
Yeah, that edit kind of helped a little bit because
Yeah.
he did say, "I love my wife and I love my marriage, but I really care for Jane."
Right,
Like,
right.
you're like, they're equal. No, it's always your wife. And
Yeah.
when it comes to open marriages, it seems like you guys were doing really well,
Yeah.
but maybe she's just irked by this one person because it seems like
Right.
you had past hookups before and you guys seemed very, adamant, like, this is okay.
Right.
Communication is clear. Had somebody live in your house,
Yeah.
one of her partners, which is very interesting and
Yeah.
good on you guys that your trust is that deep and you
Right.
guys can, mutually agree on that. But again, the fairness thing, which is like when it comes to open marriages, there's such a thing as fairness, per
Right.
se. You guys have ground rules, but you got to ask her exactly why is she so bothered by Jane. Again, it seems
Yeah.
like you did state 50-50 of your
Yeah.
time. It should be more so 75-25. I don't know.
Right.
Talk to your wife, see
Right.
what's making her not like this.
Comment number 1 says, okay, based on what you're saying, your wife is being completely unreasonable. She's insecure because for the first time, the boot is on the other foot. She never had to deal with this kind of jealousy because for her, your open relationship meant that she could have boyfriends, but you would only have one night stands. Probably never thought about it too much because she was getting hers and people don't think about things when they're having fun. But she wanted to have her cake and eat it and just assumed that it would always be that way because that's what would suit her and it was already happening. You don't have to answer this, but has it been a while since your wife had an extramarital relationship? The way you've described it, it sounds like her fun was in the semi-recent past, whereas you hardly indulged until now. Maybe she's being faced with starting to grow older and maybe hitting or approaching menopause, whereas you will continue to just be the same for the next 15 or so years at least, more if you take care of yourself, and she doesn't like the implications that you're able to cultivate this new relationship with a younger woman whilst she is starting to feel less desirable and less able to cultivate her own new relationships. Just a thought. OP responds, I think you're 100% right. She never had to deal with me spending the night at someone else's house or me getting sweet texts or any of those intimate things that seem to drive her crazy now. She's had all that and more for 8 years, and it was tough at first, but I got used to it. She seems adamant that I'm at fault. She refuses to get used to it because she sees this as me replacing her. She generally has a few guys she's seeing at any given time. Sometimes she'll have a quote boyfriend who she's closer to or spends plenty of time with. Her current boyfriend has been around for about a year. Comment number 2 says it might be time to either close up the relationship or end it. Your open relationship with Jane seems a bit more serious than most open relationships I've seen, and your wife seems worried that you might wind up leaving her for Jane. Your wife has had her boyfriends, but did she ever give the feeling that she might leave you for one of them? As I mentioned before, she might be getting a feeling that you love Jane more than her. OP responds, my wife has had even closer relationships with other men over the years. One even lived with us for a short while. I felt like she was going to leave me, and we discussed those feelings. She understood and reassured me that I was her primary. I did the same thing when she came to me with her concerns, and suddenly I'm cheating and about to ruin our marriage. Nothing either of us has done goes against the rules that we established and re-established frequently, and there is an update. We had a long talk last night. It turns out that she was upset by several things, the most serious of which was Jane's son. I didn't mention him before because I didn't think that he was relevant to the issue, but I was really wrong. Seems like she feels that I'm too close to Jane and her family, which is something that she hasn't done with her partners in the past. She's worried that I'll forge some kind of father-son bond with the kid. In reality, I've only met him a few times, though I have mentioned him to my wife. He's 18 and spends most of his time at his girlfriend's place. He also has his own father who he spends time with. I told her all of this. It seems to settle her a bit, but she was still concerned with the time a lot. I mentioned that maybe she was freaking out because I never really did anything like this before. Thought about it and agreed. She was scared that I'm looking for something new or just bored. I assured her that she's my primary and that I would have been happy with things staying the same had Jane not come along. That didn't go over too well, but I clarified that I meant no one else seemed interesting enough to continue seeing. Again, she didn't like that, but she understood what I meant. By the way, you should understand that we have full episodes of horror stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. Just search OK Storytime. And there is a little bit more into the story, but that would hurt me too, I feel.
Yeah, now this is making more sense that I feel like OP was looking out. Yes, you were seeing Jane, but now you yeah. Now it's making a
Yeah,
little bit more sense because there's a child involved or like a
right,
teenager involved, and
right,
you're even though you met a couple times, the fact that you're like, got a kid, cool, we're
right.
tight. I thought you were seeing Jane, not being,
Like
a new
in
father role here.
right, right. And like the fact that she was scared of him like leaving her for
Mhm.
someone new, like
Right.
maybe finding someone that he likes more. And then he's like, well, I mean, I just didn't like anyone until Jane came along. It's like, okay, that's not gonna make me feel any better liking this girl. Like
Right.
that would make me
Exactly.
more
That's
worried that you're like in love with her.
another crucial part. So we're getting a little bit from OP's wife's side, which
Yeah,
again, she was wait, we kind of called it out. She
right.
was scared because you were giving more time to Jane, and obviously you like Jane, great,
Yeah.
but it's like you're like you really are into Jane
Yeah.
rather than your wife.
But there is a little bit more to the story. Let's wrap this on up. He cried a lot, so did I. We ended up having spicy sleep halfway through, which was a nice comfort. Afterwards, she asked me if I loved Jane. I didn't want to lie, so I said yes. She cried again. I asked if she had ever loved anyone else. I knew the answer. I just wanted her to see that she wasn't being totally fair. She got my point, but still said that she needed more time to adjust. That was nice to hear because up until then, she was saying that she'd never get used to it. I asked what I could do to ease her transition. I also offered couples therapy with a spicy hobby friendly doctor, as someone suggested. She liked the therapy idea. I think she thought that I was ready to divorce her or something, so me wanting to work on things brought a smile to her face. We ended up deciding to look into therapy, but in the meanwhile, I'd continue seeing Jane with her blessing. She doesn't want to take a break from our open relationship, but she does want way more love affirmations from me. Thank you everyone that replied here and sent me PMs. I'll try to update this again if anything new happens. I don't think we're out of the woods yet, but we're a lot happier than we were a few days ago. And that is the end of that story.
Obviously, you guys are communicating, and you guys have been doing this for a long time, and
Right.
again, it's your comfortability level is so much higher than hers, and trust in her is a little bit higher than hers, and
Right.
that makes sense because she's not used to this from your side. So, and
Exactly.
the fact that she's like, okay, we're gonna continue everything. Let's do couples therapy.
Right.
great. Just tread lightly,
Yeah.
always double check with her, communicate. This is with open relationships, the biggest factor is communicating and making sure you're honest and you are both happy.
But that is the end of the story. We've got another one coming right up.
My friend is unhappy with my wife, but I don't want to lose them both.
I can't decide.
I, 26 male, have been married for about 4 years. Before I met my wife, 27 female, I was actually single for almost 7 years. I never had a high school sweetheart or really anything like that. I have a good amount of female friends, but none that I was ever attracted to. I thought I was attracted to one, but it was more of infatuation, and I decided to cut off any chance of a relationship before I deployed 1 year, so that I wouldn't end up getting sucked into a meaningless relationship. By the way, this comes from user BillsAman00, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. My wife actually was never part of my friend group. She's not even from the town I'm currently stationed in. I was visiting a city in Texas when I first saw her to bar hop with a few guys from that city that wanted me to see my first rodeo as well. I actually saw her for the first time at a video game store. I stopped in to look at discount games, and she worked at the bookstore next door. She was seriously the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. She was 100% unlike anyone of me or my friends. I'm covered in tattoos and wear trashy holes in my pants and oversized black shirts. She was in slacks, a button-down pink shirt, with a gold necklace that had her monogrammed initials on it, which is relevant because she was the last person in the world that anyone expected me to totally fall for. I immediately had to talk to her. I don't talk to girls, I don't know, but I had to talk to her. She was beyond intelligent, and I found out she had actually gone to school and had wealthy parents and worked part-time there and had a part-time internship in the city at a big company. I missed the rodeo that trip because the rest of it I spent with her. I proposed to her after 2 years of long-distance dating and meant to leave the military to join her in that city. However, I ended up staying in, and she dropped everything to move in with me. A sacrifice I will never forget. She's not a jealous person, and she's not a mean or vindictive person. She's sweet and timid. A lot of my female friends were instantly enraged when I started dating her, and I had to give up a few that were constantly demonizing her and putting her down in an attempt to urge me to break up with her. It actually strained our relationship quite a bit because she felt really small compared to how many female friends I had and felt intimidated by how many she was sure had feelings for me. Anyways, I kept the friends that were nice to her, and she became friends with them as well, and loves them and talks to them almost daily. So here's kind of the part where it got rocky. I should mention my wife is pregnant now with a girl we found out last week. She's still beautiful, but she's been feeling terrible about herself. She hasn't gained weight, but her nausea is keeping her inside a lot. She's been getting a lot of acne that bothers her. I took her to see a friend that was in town, one of my female friends, named Jessica. She actually loves Jessica and talks to her often and admires Jessica's tattoos and stuff. They're nothing alike, but have found common interest and both open-minded. I've been Jessica's friend since the 5th grade, and I've known her family that long too. So I brought my wife to meet Jessica in person along with her family. I thought it didn't go that bad, but as soon as we left that night, my wife was in tears and didn't want to go with me to see Jessica again. We spent the whole time catching up and eating good food. Jessica's dad and I are both and/were in the military and always get together to drink to talk about it and catch up. My wife was mostly helping Jessica's mom cook and talk about the new baby, and she'd also talk to Jessica. Jessica's brother, Brandon, who's 20 and acts like an obnoxious 20-year-old, was interjecting, but I just told my wife not to take him seriously because he acts like he knows everything to fit in. According to my wife, she thinks Jessica's family is disappointed that I married her. She began naming exact instances, and I started to see it, and now I feel guilty. When my wife went to the bathroom, Jessica's mom took photos of only me and Jessica. Jessica changed my phone background from my ultrasound picture of my daughter to a picture of me kind of staring into Jessica's eyes. It was a weird image that I didn't realize someone caught on camera. Her brother kept telling me how hot all the girls I went to high school got and told me right in front of my wife not to worry that nobody will let anyone, meaning my wife, be jealous or keep me from agreeing. At one point, my wife jokingly pointed out that she was the only one without tattoos. Jessica's dad, my longtime friend, sneered and said, maybe it's time to figure out some individuality. And Brandon kept talking about how stupid monogram clothing and jewelry, something my wife loves and wears all the time, looked, and how vapid girls who wear it are. Jessica treated my wife's Yorkie like it was the grossest thing in the world, and Jessica's entire family mostly talked about how great Jessica and I's friendship was since we were kids. Now, I feel like an idiot and guilty. I want to say Jessica's friend, but I feel like my female friends are dwindling to nothing because none of them get along with my wife or really care for her, or treat her like she exists. In fact, none of my friends treat her like she exists. They invite me out or me to my hometown, and they congratulate me on things like promotions. But no one has ever told me congratulations on my child, or my marriage, or anything. Well, I can congratulate you on being here. And you know what? Come here. Come a little bit closer. You can be here all the time with us because we have episodes with more stories just like this one. Just go
Whoa.
to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. My wife feels devastated and like she cost me my friends. And in a weird way, I feel like marrying her cost me my friends too. I didn't change my phone background and my wife was hurt and asked me to because she found the picture inappropriate. She pointed out that I post just pictures of me and other girls all over my Facebook and stuff, but nothing exists of her on there. I mentioned that nobody ever says anything about our photos, so what's the point? She got frustrated and has been spending nights at her friend's house. She's been gone for 2 days now. I don't know how to fix this or what to do. I love my friends. I successfully kept all of my high school and middle school friends and relationships. My wife is beautiful and she's smart and nice, but my friends have been with me for life. I feel like a damn idiot for putting a hot girl I met in Texas in front of my friendship, but I have an obligation to make my wife a happy woman, especially because she's now pregnant. I'm lost, and I don't know how to approach her or talk about this. I don't want to lose my friends. I want them to be happy for me, but they just aren't. And continuing my life with her will one day cost me everybody. I don't like that.
Yeah,
I don't like
tough.
that.
It's tough because in some situations that is a thing. Like you don't want to give up your friendships just for like someone that you started dating or something like that. But this is different.
Comment 1, TLDR. I am trying to get my pregnant wife to divorce me. Is it working? Jesus, man, you married a saint. You don't actually have to nail her to the cross, do you? Comment 2. Wait. You don't post pictures of you with your wife because you wouldn't get any likes? I gotta tell you, she deserves more respect than that. And your friend Jessica was really disrespectful. Maybe you should stop befriending rude people and stop blaming your wife, OP, which was downvoted 216 times. Well, a lot of it is also because she hates any pictures I take of us. But yeah, anytime I'd post something with her, I'd get like 1 or 2 likes. Then something of myself would get over 70 and everyone would tell me how great I look. It just didn't feel right and it felt like a big F you to the woman I married. Yeah, Jessica was. She's one of my best friends, but that just crossed the line. I love my friends, but my wife is number 1. Comment number 3. Well, do you love your wife a lot? Are you willing to sacrifice her and your child for a few jealous girls? Your friends obviously aren't grown up enough, and maybe you need more male friends in your life. If having female friends are the problem, then befriend their husbands or keep on establishing a deeper connection with your current male friends. Your wife is going through a pregnancy and feeling mortified to take in insults from your friends. She dropped everything to be with you. Give her the same back. OP, I do. I love her a lot. Even now, imagining life without her sucks. I actually do have a lot of male friends too. The male friends from my hometown think I married someone stuck up and that she's removing me from our dynamic by pressing me to be more of a homie family guy. I actually love spending time with her and being that guy. I lost a lot of male friends too who would openly oppose me being with her, then turn around and text her and add her and ask her if she looks good in a bikini. However, none of my friends here, military, are like that and all deeply respect her. She cooks for the single soldiers and watches kiddos so our friends can go on dates and be happy. The community loves her and she volunteers often. You're right, I'm humiliating her by letting this happen. She dropped her life to be with me. I owe her happiness and peace of mind. Comment number 4. I'm also curious as to what possible reason Jessica, her family, and most, if not all, of your friends are so against your wife. You haven't really said anything about your wife and her attitude that could be the reasons why so many people dislike her. So I'm just going to go ahead and reach the conclusion that your so-called friends are just mean and rude and get off on making someone feel inferior. Seriously, has your wife ever given them any reason for them to dislike and disapprove of her? No? Then stop feeling like it's your wife's fault that you've lost a lot of friendships. I think it's not about her alienating your friends from you, but more like your friends are trying their hardest to alienate you from your wife. She's your wife. You two are supposed to be partners for life. I know I honestly wouldn't want to be friends with people who make my significant other feel unwelcome and undeserving of me with no good and legitimate reason. OP, I think Jessica's family was banking on me ending up with her, honestly. I was a huge flirt in high school and ended up never acting on how I behaved. I was single forever and everyone was used to that, and then I drastically changed when I met this girl. She actually doesn't come off as rude or judgy at all. My wife. She talks about current events and science and volunteers for the community. She works at a retirement center and drives veterans to the store to get groceries. She's hot and looks like she'd have a stuck-up personality, but it's so opposite. I think my friends are intimidated because this was the last person in the world, our enemy our whole lives, who made us feel inadequate, that I would have ended up with once my wife called out one of my male friends for openly lying. He was caught off guard because she was stern about it. He lied about his ex-girlfriend cheating on him when the exact opposite really happened. Ever since, he hated her, but that was about the worst. You are right. I'm in this weird us versus her mentality, and I think it's my regret for not having better friends and mourning the loss of them That's getting to me right now. That is the end of that story.
My supervisor is seducing me, but I'm happily married.
Get out of here, grossy.
I've 31 male, been working my current job for about a year and a half now. Pretty cool, pays fairly well, and doesn't usually have long hours. It's been great because it provides a good life for me and my great wife, so I can't complain. By the way, this comes from Confata, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. In the first year that I've had the job, I've mostly had a great working relationship with my supervisor, early 40s and female. Professionally, she's a great supervisor at work. She challenges me to learn new things, to grow my career, and always goes to the bat and defends me with higher ups. She honestly has made me a better person professionally and is wonderful in that regard. Personally, though, she's a little bit of a mess. She's a divorced woman around 10 years or so older than me. She has constant drama with her ex-husband that I've picked up on. She is very good about not bringing it into work, but I've overheard some phone conversations and she's told me a bit of it at times over lunch and stuff. She's also a huge flirt. I've never noticed it with anyone in the office, but she's used it as a quote tool at times at trade shows and such to push details, for example. She's not an unattractive woman at all, so she does that fairly successfully. Up until about 2 months or so ago, I always just dismissed that as something funny and not something worth worrying about. That is until some of that flirting started being directed my way. She had sometimes done this kind of innocently as a joke in the past, which was easily dismissible. But lately it kind of feels like it's crossed the line a bit. She'll knowingly lean over so I can look down her shirt, will leave her hand on my shoulder a bit too long, and makes slightly spicy related jokes. Stuff like that. I brought it up with my wife over Christmas break and she was a bit conflicted. She's met my supervisor before and liked her, so on the one hand, she thought that she was just being her usual self, kind of like a female version of Michael Scott from The Office. But on the other hand, she does think it's a bit weird, but doesn't really know what I should do. She's been my lifeline at work so many times and has defended me when most others wouldn't. I'd be putting myself into a really risky situation politically at work if I tried to initiate any conflict or risk my professional relationship with her. Now, here's the real kicker. I have a work trip coming up in about a month or so where it will be just the two of us. We've done this twice in the past. Obviously, we have 2 different rooms. We don't travel together as she just lets me borrow her corporate card and make my own travel arrangements as long as I get a good deal. But I'll be meeting up with her in Vegas for a 3-night trade show thing. I'm concerned that her flirting might escalate things and that she'll try to pull something. While I don't have concrete evidence, I'm fairly certain that she has done this before. Not necessarily with anyone in the office, but with other guys in the industry from other businesses. I really enjoy working with this lady and I'm beyond appreciative for what she's done with me in my career. But I'm also extremely happily married and I'm concerned that she is thinking about trying something on our upcoming Vegas trip. Any ideas on what to do? And there is an update. I didn't want to make an entirely new update thread as nothing major has happened as of yet, but there have been a few small developments in the past 24 hours. First, I found out a few more details about my trip next weekend. I'll be headed out from a nearby airport Wednesday and getting to Vegas that night. My supervisor is going to be there already and is going to pick me up at the airport since she'll already have a rental car. We have most of the day off on Thursday and she's told me that she wants to meet one of our clients Thursday evening for dinner. While I can't know for sure, I'm fairly certain that there is no client really coming to dinner on Thursday. The show doesn't really start until Friday afternoon and only exhibitors are going to be there on Thursday, not really attendees. I could be blowing it out of proportion, but after reading what everyone said here yesterday, my spidey senses are kind of tingling. I also noticed 2 little nonverbal things yesterday. Came to my office to check on a project that we're working on and kind of sat on the edge of my desk, leaning over to check on something on my computer screen. Without going into detail, she did all of this in a way that was a little uncomfortably intimate. It's embarrassing and uncomforting because my male instinct punted in and I found myself having thoughts that I hated myself for. This is headed in a direction that I do not like. I did some checking around yesterday and there's no way that I can back out of the trip. I've already got meetings scheduled with colleagues and clients. Everything's booked in my name and is more or less non-refundable, especially the high cost vendor badge, which is non-transferable. I've also talked with my wife and tried to see if she can come along, but that's not really possible as she's got the biggest event of the year at her workplace to tend to next Friday and Saturday. So seriously, what do I do? And we do have an update. I just got back from the trip last night and things went, well, awkwardly. I followed everyone's best advice from the previous thread and mostly kept to myself and kept things professional as possible. I went ahead and arranged my own travel from the airport to my hotel this past Wednesday and feigned some excuses to not do anything with her until Thursday at lunch when we met up to plan stuff for our booth at the trade show and get it set up and such. We had normal chit chat otherwise. She seemed comparably tame to how she's acted in the past, and my previous fears started to fade away. We got our booth set up, kind of went our own separate ways for a few hours to do some touristy Vegas stuff for a while, met some colleagues from another company for dinner, and called it a night because we both agreed that we'd want good sleep before having to get up early and work a long trade show from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. the next day. The next day, working the show went fine. We were actually pretty productive and such. I politely turned down adult sodas and such as they were passed around the show floor, opting instead for diet spicy flour or whatever. The company hosting the show had a nice dinner and social hour for us afterwards, and I felt comfortable enough to have a mixed drink. I know my limits and knew that one wouldn't put me too far. Afterwards, I took a half-mile walk down the strip to go get into a little Vegas trouble and lose a little money and had some fun, and got back to the hotel room about 9 so I could watch a movie and get to sleep early again. I felt pretty good about the trip so far. Business was good, having a good time, and my boss was well behaved. At least until that point. This is where things got dicey. Got a call from my supervisor about 9:30 saying that she wanted to go over some info before we had a meeting with the client early in the morning. She acted mostly professionally to that point, so I didn't worry too much, but asked if she wanted to just meet in the lobby bar, which she agreed to. We met up for a bit and she mentioned that she forgot a folder in her room and asked me to come with her because there was just one more thing she wanted to check on.
Why are you acting like you can't say no?
Yeah.
Why are you acting like you can just be like, I'm uncomfortable?
Yeah. I mean, he's worried about his job being missed, but I feel like in this situation, wait outside the door. Wait outside the door. Don't get into the room. Just be like, go grab it.
Or like,
go back out.
I'll walk you to your room,
And we'll go back down.
We'll go back down.
Or like, I'll wait. I'll hold your seat.
Oh yeah,
I'll order you another drink or something.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
like OP's acting like you already made excuses.
Yeah.
Like I'll get a thing to the airport and I'll avoid her
Right.
until Thursday. It's like what?
It seems, to give him some credit, it seems like he's doing some good things to like avoid her and like not having too many adult drinks.
And he gets to like a certain point, he's like, I don't know what I can do.
Yeah, there are
It's
some
like,
things where
You
maybe
can do something. You have
maybe-
options.
Right. This was kind of a red flag, but she had been normal to that point, so I reluctantly agreed. We got back to her room and she got me the folder that had the client info that we needed to look over. She said that she needed to use the bathroom really quick while I looked it over. After a moment, she comes back into the room in a bathrobe. I knew where this was possibly going, and I immediately wanted out. I got up and said I'd better go call my wife and get a good night's sleep, but she kept asking questions about the client and what I thought. I kind of stammered through, looking for an opportunity to leave, but she was sort of standing in the way where I couldn't just leave. It's all a blur at this point, but she dropped her robe.
Oh, she did that thing.
I looked away immediately, but she was standing there in lace panties and nothing else. I did not want to be attracted to her and give into any primal male notion, so I just kind of averted my eyes and slipped out the door and said I would see her in the morning. I called my wife and told her what happened, and she was just kind of dumbstruck and didn't really know what to tell me. I felt so confused. Part of me was offended that she'd go that far. Part of me was scared to death over what would happen next. And I'll be embarrassingly honest, that primal male part of me was a little excited that something actually happened. I even told my wife about it, and with her encouragement and a few fun Snapchat pictures she sent me, I visited certain sites on the internet and got that out of my system. The next morning, it was as if nothing happened. I was probably acting very awkwardly the next 2 days and tiptoeing around her, but she acted as if nothing happened. It was cheaper for the company to stay another night and fly out Monday afternoon, and I just totally kept my distance between the end of the show Sunday afternoon and when I left. It's the first day back in the office today, but she took an off day today and won't be back in until tomorrow. I have no idea what to do. It's possible that she'll just never talk about it again, but so are many other possibilities. If I try to bring it up with anyone here at the office, it'll just be my word against hers. I just have no clue how to proceed here. I've already been looking elsewhere for other jobs for around 2 months now and haven't had much luck, so I don't know if I can just leave. It's just so dang confusing. That is the end of that story, but
We just leave the elephant in the room?
well, I think she's not going to bring it up. She's not going to bring it up because she was clearly rejected.
Yeah.
This is up to you, OP, to be like, hey, can we talk for a second? Be like, I have noticed like flirtatious things in the past.
Yep.
I didn't want to say anything because I wasn't so sure.
Yep.
But when you just took off your clothes in front of me, that was absolutely not okay. And it made it so much clear that you have been doing this stuff. I don't want to report you to HR. Tell her that, but like you can definitely do that.
Are you threatening me?
Well,
I'm gonna fire you.
Yeah, exactly. Like so stupid. But yeah, And maybe record this conversation too,
Yeah.
just in case. But yeah, I don't want to report you to HR because I appreciate the things you've done for me and appreciate our professional time together. However, it needs to stay professional, and you did not do that. I have a wife. I'm not interested in you like that.
Yeah.
You have to lay down the law because she's not going to start that conversation.
No, not at all, because it's a thing of power as well.
Yeah,
Like, oh, he's
hanging
not going
out.
to bring up the elephant in the room? What
He's not
elephant
going
in
to do
the
anything
room?
about it.
Yeah.
Might just keep going.
I would say keep looking for a job.
That is the end of that story and the end of the episode.